Hello, everyone. Thank you, Emily and Jimmy, for organizing this, and for everyone for joining us today. My name is Kayla Wilson, and I'm a program analyst with the SNAP Office of Employment and Training. We are a fairly new office created in the last few years, so excited to be here and to answer any questions and kind of give you a lowdown on the SNAP Employment and Training Program. It was great to see that little quiz at the beginning to see kind of where everyone is, because right now when we first started talking about SNAP E&T, it wasn't always clear if people knew about it, and then little by little people are hearing more and more, which makes us excited. There's my going forward. There we go. So without further ado, I'll just jump in. I've got limited time and I can talk forever, so I'm going to try to go and not speak too fast. So the actual SNAP Employment and Training Program was created in the late 1980s with the major purpose of what's written there in front of you, but really to help work registrants, which are SNAP participants that meet a certain requirement, meet the requirements for SNAP. And so the Employment and Training Program, all states, all 50 states and 3 territories and districts across the country actually have a SNAP Employment and Training Program, but those programs are quite different depending on where they are. But over the years, the program has really morphed into different, depending on kind of what was going on with the SNAP program. So it kind of went from work requirements and then helping people get any sort of job and just get into the workforce. And now we've really transitioned. There's been quite a big attention in the last few years on really helping SNAP clients get quality jobs, so gain skills linked to more in-demand jobs, needed to move towards economic self-sufficiency and ultimately reduce their need for nutrition assistance as well as other public benefits. So the best thing about SNAP Employment and Training that I really like to talk about is how unique it is in comparison to a lot of other job training and public programs. So one of the things is that it reaches a population that's kind of left out of a lot of workforce programs. SNAP clients don't always get as much support that they could from our workforce development programs in the Department of Labor just because of funding. It's not always easy to reach this particular population, and so this is an opportunity to really kind of connect those dots for participants that are leaving TANF and trying to get back into the workforce and are still receiving SNAP. There's really quite incredible flexibility with this program, both in the funding and the who, what, where, when, how of who is served. States have a lot of flexibility in the population that they serve, as we'll talk about a little bit more later, whether they serve specific populations or all work requirement, or those that have work requirements, work registrants, where they want to offer services. Some states offer services only in specific cities or counties. Other states offer it statewide. We're really pushing states to try to offer it to a larger geographic regions, but with funding, they really can choose and pinpoint those areas, as well as the services that they provide and who they choose to partner with to provide those services. So one of the great things about the program is they provide these supportive services that a lot of programs aren't able to fund, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later as well. And a unique thing with the way that it's set up is that it really promotes partnership and collaboration with those that are already doing this work. So as you all are already providing these services for a lot of probably SNAP clients, you can continue that work and then just receive additional funding if you become a SNAP Employment and Training provider. So the overall all SNAP participants are eligible as long as they're receiving SNAP in that month. So eligibility does need to be checked to make sure that they are receiving SNAP in the month that they're receiving SNAP Employment and Training services. And they cannot be receiving any sort of TANF cash assistance. And the idea is that they're able to work upon program completion. So this would kind of weed out those that are maybe students students or those that are not necessarily, they're not necessarily looking to get into a job right away at the end. The SNAP Employment and Training Program is made for those with a job at the end of the role. So their states operate different types of programs, either the mandatory or voluntary. Right now we have about 34 states operating voluntary programs and about 19 states and territories operating mandatory programs. The difference of that is that their food benefits are then connected. So if a state is mandating that a participant participate in certain many hours, if they fail to participate, then they would be sanctioned or face those sanctions. So all states are a little bit different, and your particular state you'll have to look into to see how that's set up. So as I was saying, the wonderful flexibility of the program allows for quite a few services to really make sure that that we're supporting the individual. The program focuses on both not only just the actual training services, but also the supportive services and the coaching that goes along and is necessary to make sure that SNAP clients can really succeed in these programs. So we like to say it's a packages of services, starting from the assessment all the way through the actual training program and the supportive services. And I don't want to break down all of these, but funding can cover everything from the basics of support with job search and job search training to actual career, technical, vocational education programs through community colleges, through community-based organizations or other training providers, as well as any sort of education program that could include GED or high school equivalency courses, as well as English as a second language, or any other sort of basic foundational skills programs needed in order to kind of get into a training program, whether it's boosting up and to get into the program, or whether it coincides with the program as they're working towards the credential or the certificate that's the program that they're in. It also, in addition, provides provides funding for apprenticeship programs or on-the-job training and work experience programs. And then, as you see, we do have job retention services that extends the supportive services and case management and career navigation programs through 90 days after post-employment. So if you are already offering those services, you could then be reimbursed for those services. So this is just a list of some of the supportive services that are provided. Essentially what we say is, as long as it's reasonably and necessary and directly related to the participation in the E&T program and for a SNAP participant to actually finish and complete the program, then we can support it. So that covers everything from transportation, childcare, books and supplies, uniforms, licensing, anything have you. It's worth bringing up if it's a cost for the participant. Now, I will go into, let's see, the funding. So it's not all just straight up 100% paid for. There is a little bit different funding stream. With SNAP E&T, all states do receive a portion of $90 million of 100% funds. Depending on the state, some states receive as little as $50,000. Other states receive as much as $7 million, just depending on the number of participants that are served. So as I said, that a lot of states, that number is quite small and not a lot to really provide a quality program. So really where our vested interest is working with the 50/50 reimbursement program, because that covers both administrative costs as well as participant reimbursements. And so the way that works is that all non-federal funds, whether it's state funds, and I'll show you a list in a second, or your funds that you're receiving from foundations or other state initiatives or programs, any non-federal funds that are used to serve SNAP clients with these particular services can be matched at a 50% reimbursement rate. So that being said, I'll keep on going. Sure, I'm leaving a lot of questions please feel free to type them in at any time, or give us a holler and we can let you ask them, shout them out. So this is the list of various funding opportunities that you may have, that you may be receiving funding from, or that your state is. And these are opportunities that the money can actually be matched. So if you are using any of these funds, or your state is using these funds, state, county, city funds, donations from private firms, foundational funds. I know a lot of you, Emily was saying, work with kind of social venture, entrepreneur, with those types of programs. Those revenues can be matched. If any of you are receiving CDBG grants or other state need grants, there's anything, basically, as long as it's non-federal, can be matched. And the way that that works is that you as an organization would contract directly with the state or county, depending on your state, to provide those E&T services. You would then provide those services to participants, and you would then put a claim to the state. And I'll let Allison and Molly talk a little bit more about how that works for them on the hand-in-hand working directly with the state and how that looks. But essentially you would send the state a bill with the participants' information to confirm that they're SNAP participants, and then the services that they received. And then they would then send that up to the national FNS, and they would receive that reimbursement. And most states actually send the reimbursement back to the provider. Not all states do. Some states do take a portion of it just for their own administrative. So that would be something you would want to look into to see what that reimbursement would look like, and a conversation you'd have with your state. So then that money goes back, and it actually becomes your money at that time. So you can choose to invest it in any portion of the program. It doesn't have to be reinvested into the E&T program. We love it when it is, because then it really builds your capacity to serve more people and enhance your services. But it is your money at that point. So this is just a quick one-pager that we have, and you can find that on our website. It breaks down, paints a nice picture of all the services that are offered, as well as the funding breakdown. So if you have just some general questions, this lays it out to kind of answer those if I didn't cover them clearly. So you're probably asking, okay, well, all this information, what am I going to do with it now? So if you are interested in learning more information, you're not totally clear, leaves a lot of questions. We actually have a beautiful, shiny new website that we're pretty excited about. That's linked there. It's called SNAP to Skills, through a program that we're working on right now with some states and with the Seattle Jobs Initiative in Seattle. They have created and helped support us with policy briefs. We have a monthly newsletter, so you can go ahead and sign up for that on our website, as well as our toolkit and participant stories, as well as state highlights, just to kind of paint that picture a little bit of what that looks like. But really where you'd want to start is kind of to know what's going on in your state, if you don't already. So all states provide a SNAP E&T plan every year. We actually just received them. We're reviewing them right now for this fiscal year 2018. But if you're interested in those plans, you can contact your state agency, and they should be able to provide it, or you can contact me, and I would be willing to send it to you too. They are public documents, so they're not put online, but we are willing to share them if you are interested, just to see kind of what the program looks like. Now, I will say, with the caveat, they're not super detailed, so you may not get all the answers that you need from it, but maybe those basics of if it's a mandatory voluntary state or statewide, yada, yada. So then, from there, I would just continue to start talking to your state SNAP agency, maybe the other key partners in the states. As I said, all states are so different. Some of them are working through their community colleges. Others are working through community-based organizations, have a great network of those. Some of them are working with both, or some through their workforce. So it really depends, and to understand your state is really where you need to start. And if you are interested in getting into the program, you do need to be written to the SNAP E&T plan, and those are due every year August 15th, but they can be amended at any point. And from there, you can just start talking to people like the presentation you're going to hear in a second from Molly and Allison about what their system, their contract, their budget, all the reporting measures, and all of that jazz looks like. It's been really helpful. In addition to our office, there's 7 members of my team here. There's also regional SNAP E&T contacts out in the regions, in all 7 regions, so you can see that kind of breakdown, and they are excellent resources to get started if you want kind of if you don't already have a relationship with your state SNAP agency. They're a great tool to kind of help make that gap, and they'd love to facilitate a conversation if you're interested. And then that's my contact information. If you have any questions, by all means, please reach out. I would be happy to help or hold another call to answer any of your questions. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that great presentation, Kayla. If anyone has any question at this time, doesn't look like we have any questions in the chat box, but if you have any questions that you would like to ask over the phone, I just want to remind you to type in your phone number and with the comment, "I have a question," and then we can unmute your phone. Right now it doesn't look like anyone has any burning questions, so we will keep it moving